When he gets hungry, Anglesey Herman's stomach makes a howling noise like a wolf. Howl! It goes, and bloody loudly too. Herman once lived in a flat next to a very busy main road with 3 yappy little dogs, a heavy-footed Scotsman, and a Polish girl called Yenka who seemed to be having a noisy and never-ending conversation with someone on her mobile phone. That's a whole lot of noise coming from one flat, and yet you could still hear Herman's stomach howling over all the din. It didn't happen all the time, obviously, only when Herman hadn't eaten for hours. When it did happen, it could be quite embarrassing, especially if he happened to be somewhere quiet when the noises began. Herman once got some very odd looks whilst in the quiet carriage on a train to London. Everyone sat there reading their newspapers and looking at their mobile phones, when all of a sudden, howl could be heard from the back of the carriage. Anglesey Herman was so embarrassed, he had to sit in standard class. The same thing happened when he went to the opera. Sat with his eyes closed, feeling every nuance of the music, he was utterly at peace. And then, howl! The usher kindly asked him to leave, and of course, he had to comply. There can't be an over-the-counter remedy that Herman didn't try at one time or another. He tried every drug available to him, every housewife's remedy. He even tried talking to his stomach, but all to no avail. Then one day, help came from an unexpected source: the weather. In 2010, Anglesey Herman was snowed in, and snowed in big time, for nearly 3 days. By day 2, the fridge was bare. The freezer was empty, and the only thing in the cupboard was a tin of biscuits. The tin was full, luckily, but full of just one type of biscuit: Bourbons. Now, Anglesey Herman is more of a custard cream kind of guy than a Bourbon man. I mean, sure thing, he could hack a Bourbon, no trouble, just as he could hack a Jammy Dodger or a Jaffa Cake now and then, but let's be honest, let's call a spade, or a Bourbon. As biscuits go, they're jolly nice, but they're no chocolate hobnob now, are they? Bourbons are in the same league as your ginger nuts or your coconut rings. They're no chocolate hobnob. Surviving on chocolate hobnobs is no hardship, but Bourbons, that's just boring. Anglesey Herman had Bourbon biscuits for breakfast, lunch and supper for 2 days running. He was pig sick of the bloody things by the time the snow melted, and who can blame him? But do you know what? His stomach was quiet for a very long time afterwards. There wasn't a peep or a twitch from his stomach for weeks, months. He sat in the quiet carriage without incident, went to the opera without embarrassment, and heard the road, the noisy neighbours, everything with perfect clarity, and not a howl to be heard. Then one day, he was watching the cricket, sat near the pavilion watching Warwickshire play Worcestershire. Warwickshire were taking a beating, by the way. He heard the sound. The rest of the spectators heard the sound. Even the umpire heard the sound, the unmistakable sound of a stomach howling like a wolf. He tried to ignore it, tried to look around as if to say, "What on earth is that noise?" But despite his fine acting, the source of the sounds was becoming clear with each howl that was heard. Herman had a choice. He could go home and miss the final over, or try to solve the problem. He made a quick decision. During the tea break, Herman took off like a rocket, round the corner to the nearest shop. He found a petrol station with a mini-mart, dropped £1.50 on the counter, and scoffed his way through a half-pack of Bourbons. There was no howl on his way back to the cricket ground, no howl at all, ever in fact. Warwickshire won the match, but Anglesey Herman had tasted a victory far sweeter. He had a weapon. He knew he could kill the wolf. The weapon was Bourbons. Bountiful, beautiful Bourbons. So now you know what Anglesey Herman dips in his tea.